Hello and welcome to Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio. This is Stefan, your host, British by birth, American by choice. The Founding Fathers crafted some remarkable documents that led to the creation of a great country founded on liberty and self-reliance. I have lived in the Euro-socialist nightmare, and I'm doing what I can to return this country to the vision that the Founding Fathers gave us. We need to strive to rebuild that shining city on the hill, for without us, the world has nowhere to turn for freedom. For the next hour, I will be presenting news, views, and guests that help keep the true spirit of America alive. And a very good evening, a very good afternoon, or a very good morning, depending on when or where you're listening to this show. This is Stefan, your Patrick Come Lately, British by birth, American by choice, welcoming you to episode 299 of Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio. I'm very pleased and very surprised that I actually got this far. I never expected to be reaching number 300 based on when I first started so many years ago. But I also didn't expect things to develop the way they did. Basically, when I first started, part of my reason for starting was to counteract the fact that Obama had got into power and to get Republicans back in and get him out again as quickly as possible. Well, that didn't work, and the Republicans didn't do their job properly either. It started off as the Tea Party wave, and then that kind of got suppressed by the elites. So now we have, I guess, the Trump wave is the closest to it, and it's not exactly the same. A lot of people who supported the Tea Party are not so happy with Trump, understandable, but I think a lot of other people are very much so, because they're glad that somebody's finally standing up and saying what needs to be said and not worrying about the consequences, not worrying about being politically correct, basically not namby-pambying around with everything. So, as I said, the last show of 2015, and I intend to do a bit of a retrospective on this. If you look back at the year, there were so many things we could talk about, but I've chosen more or less four topics. The year of Donald Trump. It's the year of email, or lost email. Immigration. And, of course, Daesh, or ISIS, as many people know them. Maybe some other topics if we have time. I think Black Lives Matter and the way that the police are getting hamstrung, and the results of that as well, if we have time for that. But we'll see. So let's start with the year of Trump. Trump is still way ahead in most of the national polls. He's dropped back a bit in Iowa. Hasn't been there as much. Maybe that's part of it. Iowa is very definitely a retail politic state, and the people who are spending the most time there seem to get the most votes in the polls. But these are the polls by the pollsters. These are not the real polls. And they're not even polls, they're actually caucuses, obviously, in Iowa. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in just over a month now, when the caucuses take place, which is an interesting way of voting. But then shortly after that, we have New Hampshire a few days later, where Trump is very definitely still very much in the lead. Will he lose that in the next 5 weeks or so? Quite possible, but we'll see. And then on to South Carolina, where he also has a good lead. And if he wins two of those first three, he's going to have a tremendous momentum. And then the elites in Washington are going to have conniptions again. And I think I led off with the year of Donald Trump, and I think the overall impact on us domestically and politically is probably Trump. There are a lot of other things like Daesh, the ineffectual foreign policy of King Barry, the emails, the lying, the duplicity that has been proven with Hillier, that just seems to roll off her back the same way all the things that he says rolls off Donald's back. So lots of topics, but like I said, I think overall Trump's probably the one that's got talked about the most. And from his initial start, where everybody sort of said, oh, you know, this is a joke, he's not going to be able to do anything. But yet today he's still at the top of the polls, and this is just totally unexpected and unwanted by most pundits and talking heads. And whether they're the left or the right, nobody seems happy about it. Well, virtually nobody. His rise and his ability to stay at the top as well, I think, is surprising to all those true Americans who like his non-PC approach, appreciated the frank questions and the answers to some of this country's problems. They want him up there. Although I expect, that many of us, me included, fully expected the political machine to pull out all its guns, focus all its energy on getting rid of this annoyance, and not just an annoyance, but a danger to their continued power. So to many of us, his ability to turn around and deflect anything thrown at him is refreshing. It gives us an idea that we are not locked in to the Washington ruling class. And that is something that has frustrated so many people. And I think a lot more people than are actually showing in the polls. I think when the real voting takes place, there are going to be a lot of people who go into that little box where they don't have to tell anyone what they actually voted. They'll pull that curtain shut, and they will pull the lever, they will punch the hole, they will mark the X in the box for Trump. And I think Trump is going to surprise a lot of people with how well he actually does. But talking about everything rolling off his back, I mean, look at what the pundits were saying. First of all, it was just a summer fling. Oh, yes, it's only going to last for the summer, and then he'll get tired, he'll go home, he'll take his marbles and go home, and we can get on with the serious stuff. After that didn't work, then it was, well, all this stuff he's saying, he's going to go down in flames. So if it's not this time, it'll be the next time. And time after time after time, he just said what he thought. And sometimes it's a little over the top. Even I'll admit that. And as you can guess from listening to this show, I am a supporter of Trump. Now, I think anybody would be better than Hillier, and anybody would be better than Sanders. So we have to get a Republican in there, but preferably not a Jeb Bush. I don't think Rand Paul has it in him anymore. And so, let's see, who stepped off? Oh, Governor Pataki. Do you remember he was actually running? Well, he stepped out today apparently as well. So the field is narrowing down, but there's still a number out there, and they would be okay. But I think I look at Trump and say, Trump is one hope we have of stirring things up in Washington. And I say it's a hope. There's no guarantee. But of all of the people in the race today, he has indicated the most that he will stir things up. number 2 is Ted Cruz, and guess who's number 2 in the polls? He's also been one who's been stirring up Washington and trying to be different from the rest. He tries, although I think to a certain extent he's part of that ruling class. He's a senator, and he found it difficult to be as effectual as we would like. Now, Donald Trump, as a president, he's the executive. He doesn't make the policy. He's got to encourage the people in Congress to do that for him. But I think with the leadership that he shows, the fact that he knows how to talk and negotiate with people, it's going to stir things up. And like I said, Cruz will try and do that, and as a president, I think will also manage some. Rubio, although I'm very worried about his immigration policy, would do it. I think, unfortunately for Mary, and hi Mary, I see her in the chat room there. I think Ben Carson has now dropped down to quite low numbers, but any of those would be okay. I have no major problems with them, but it's just I think we need a good hard broom to sweep clean in Washington, and I think that might be that. I said hi to Mary. Paul's there as well. Welcome, Paul. Nice to see you. Like your little picture there. And yes, we're still missing Rex tonight. He was a little late last week, so hopefully he will be joining us shortly. Anyway, let's go back to what the pundits were saying. So the latest one is that there is no chance against Hillier. And a week ago there was a poll, and he was 11 points behind Hillier, whereas he'd been 5 points ahead of her a few weeks earlier. So now everybody trumpeting, including Fox News Channel, about how he's dropped 16 points against Hillier. And then I think the latest poll that came out again, and boom, he's back up there equal with us. So these polls go up and down, especially these national polls. Yes, they're polling 1,000 people, but are you really sure that those 1,000 people are that diverse? I mean, we're talking about 300 million people in America, of which, let's say, about half of them vote. So 150 million people, and with 1,000 people, you think you can really determine how the polls are going to go? I don't think so. I think one of the things, and I did hear that recently, but I think it's true, that people, when asked, because of his brashness, because he is, fairly frank, non-PC, etc., number of people don't like to admit to supporting him or wanting to vote for him. But as I said before, when they get into that booth and close that curtain, I think a lot more people will be pulling that lever. So, every time the elitists come up with some reason why he will fail, he puts egg on their faces. And he hasn't even yet begun to use his money to get out his message. Now, apparently, they are preparing some commercials for some of these key states, especially New Hampshire and South Carolina, because he wants to build some momentum there. But I heard that right now they're preparing an ad buy of about $25 million, which is peanuts to him. I think he said he was quite prepared to spend 1/10 of his fortune on this campaign. So $25 million, that's just a drop in the bucket. And I'm sure he's saving the rest for the general election, when he's going to come out with all guns firing against Hillier. But instead of using his money up to now, what he's been able to do, he's been able to use social media and even the unfriendly press to his advantage. He continues to break what the elitists call rules. The elitists, those are the people that we used to think were in the know. But now we know that they're not in the know because they don't really know what's going on, and they weren't able, their rules don't seem to exist as far as Donald Trump is concerned. So maybe those rules never did exist. And maybe we just thought that they did, and we meekly went along. You know the things they said. Must have a middle-of-the-road Republican to win. Can't stand up against Hussein Obama, or the GOP will be seen as racist and will lose votes. Have to play along with the Democrats and give them all they want, or King Barry will shut down the government and we will get the blame. For example, look at the latest betrayal by the GOP establishment, led by Paul Ryan giving away the farm and giving Obama everything he wanted, money for Planned Parenthood, sanctuary cities, Syrian immigration, etc., etc. And what did we get in return? Oh yeah, the GOP elitists will say we got something in return. What did we get in return? Well, not we the people, but the oil companies, the ones that fund the lobbyists and pass on millions to their lackeys in Congress. Yes, they're the ones that got something. Yeah, now they're allowed to sell their oil abroad where they weren't allowed to do that before. But with Obama still in the White House, we can't even drill all the oil that there is out there to get. Just a few states where they've relaxed the rules on fracking, and that's only because Obama hasn't had time to write an executive order to prevent that. So we get a little bit of extra money for the oil companies, and they get all the other things, Planned Parenthood, sanctuary cities, Syrian immigration. Sorry, Paul Ryan, we expected a lot more of you, and you betrayed us. And believe me, that's going to happen. And I hope that that we have the same thing as happened with Eric Cantor. Let's primary Paul Ryan out of Congress. Let him have what he deserves. So with that betrayal, there was something that I found on Facebook the other day, which I thought was rather a good little quote. It was apparently something, written by a Trump supporter, Paulie Di Bartolo. And it's entitled, "Are We Angry?" He says, some on the left and in the media have labeled Donald J. Trump supporters as being angry. So what is wrong with being angry? Is angry no longer politically correct? I say to them, yes, you're damn right we're angry. You should be too. After all, anger helped create a nation. On December 16, 1773, Sam Adams, John Hancock, Paul Revere, and 114 others were very, very angry. So I'd say Trump supporters are in pretty good company, wouldn't you? And I think that's a great quote. Yes, we are angry, and there's more and more anger, like I said, not just with what Obama's doing, but the fact that the GOP are proving to be so ineffectual at standing up against him. Okay, so I'm going to take a quick break now, give me an opportunity to type a little in the chat room. So if you're listening to the show live and you're not in the chat room, click on the little speech button in your Spreaker box there and join us in the chat room. You see a very nice picture of Paul in his dinner jacket, as we say in the UK, with a bow tie there, looking very nice, and Mary is there with us as well. But for the moment, I've got to go to a commercial break, so stick with me, folks. I will be back shortly.
You can lose 10, 20, 30 pounds or more with Maximum Slim's first ever rapid weight loss guarantee. Today, you get Maximum Slim, an advanced fat and carb blocker, absolutely risk-free. The all-natural ingredients in Maximum Slim are a powerful weight loss combination. The Maximum Slim formula turns your body into a fat-burning furnace that supercharges your weight loss. Advanced fat and carb blocker stops the breakdown of sugar so your body doesn't store it as fat. Today, you'll get both of these products absolutely risk-free free with no obligation. Only pay shipping. There are no expensive meal plans or exhausting DVDs. Just take Maximum Slim twice a day. It's fast, simple, and now it's guaranteed. Look, you can start losing weight today or not. Go back to your high school days and wear your favorite jeans again. Guaranteed. Call now and get both weight loss formulas free. Call 800-451-0228. 800-451-0228. That's 800-451-0228.
Doc, you gotta give it to me straight.
All right.
'Cause I'm dying here. I mean, take a look at this letter from the IRS.
Oh, my.
This is killing me, Doc. I tell you, it's killing me.
Cheer up, my friend.
Huh?
The tax doctor is here. My diagnosis tells me that you're going to be just fine.
Really?
The tax doctor will not rest until we find you the best possible tax settlement.
Really, Doc?
Guaranteed.
If the IRS claims you owe them $10,000 or more in business or personal back taxes, call a tax doctor right now. We could save you up to 75% if you qualify. Guaranteed or you pay nothing. Call right now for free details.
800-917-8546. 800-917-8546. 800-917-8546. That's 800-917-8546.
This is Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio, coming to you live via the internet, via rebroadcast on WRSDB, the Red State Talk Radio Network, or from the recordings at archives.patrickcomelately.us. And thanks for sticking with me, folks. This is Stefan, your Patrick Come Lately. In that commercial break, chatting in the chat room with Paul and Mary. And yes, he is wearing a dinner jacket and not a tuxedo, because apparently his picture was taken in London. And of course we call them dinner jackets over there. And thanks, Paul, for the comment on the quality. Of course, I'm not in a hotel tonight. I am working from home, have relatively high internet speeds here. So of course it's much easier to get high quality audio. Still one or two things I need to do in this room to make it a little better, but that's for when I retire, and put a little bit of sound baffling in and make it perhaps even better. Anyway, let's see. We talked about Donald Trump and everybody being angry, and I agree with Mary. It isn't just Trump supporters that are angry. I think lots of people are angry with the betrayal, and as I said to Mary in the chat room, if the candidates don't harness that anger correctly, they're done for. And I think just talking about the anger doesn't help, and people like Jeb Bush especially, who's trying to be that middle of the road and be that sort of candidate that we know doesn't work, it's just not helping us at all. Now, just one last thing on Trump, and it was this weekend, so right at the end of the year, I noticed the press, but especially Fox News Channel, Sunday afternoon and then Monday all day, were trying to fan the flames of turmoil because Donald had attacked Bill Clinton. And all of these pundits were saying, that's probably won't work, and this, that, and the other. Unfortunately, I have to say, as far as I heard it, my interpretation, they're misrepresenting what he was saying yet again. He didn't directly attack Bill per se, even though Bill deserves every word, but he just used Slick Willie as an example of why Hilaire should not try to come after Trump with the sexist card, which she had started doing in the days before. And I agree with Trump that if she does that, I think she will find out it's going to boomerang on her, because her record with women is not all that good. She supported her husband. She did and said horrible things about the women that his husband was involved with, whether it was consensual or non-consensual. She accepts money from countries with horrific records on women's rights, and she thinks she can throw out the sexist card to somebody like Donald Trump. It's very interesting, because Donald Trump is very well known for being very, very egalitarian as with respect to gender in his companies, and the way he treats women. Now, I say egalitarian. He works hard to give women the same opportunities that men have, and he has introduced a lot of women into the building trade, which traditionally was a very male-oriented thing. So where they can get this sexist stuff from, I don't know. I mean, I think it's crazy. And as I said, especially because Hillary, doesn't have the best record. So I'm sure that Trump's going to turn that around on her, and he'll show that he's not that sexist at all, and he's got proof of it, and that will most certainly boomerang on her. I think part of the issue is that Trump is known for being uncomplimentary about people who sometimes are of the female gender. For example, he calls Rosie O'Donnell a fat cow. Now everybody says, oh, well, that's sexist. But he is just as uncomplimentary about men. So why is it sexist to say something that you believe about someone? Now, you can discuss, okay, should he be that insulting to that person? But he does it to the men. I mean, look at things he said about Jeb Bush. He is equal opportunity insulting to everyone. And if anything, I think that is the least sexist of all, because he does it equally to everybody, irrespective of their gender. And that's one of the big things that everybody misses. Say, oh, you can't say that to women. Well, if women want to be equal, why can't you say that to women? And that's exactly what Donald Trump does, and I salute him for that. Now, Mary disagrees with me. And remember, it's a free country, so you're free to do that, Mary. But I think I don't think he's sexist. I think he's done a lot. Like I said, he's done a lot for women in his companies. He's done a lot that's not talked about. I mean, don't forget, I told a story months ago about the couple who picked him up when his limo had broken down on some highway somewhere, I think in New Jersey, drove him home or drove him somewhere he could get another car, and a couple of weeks later, a new car appeared on their doorstep, and he gave them a new car to thank them for what they did for him. Now, nobody talks about that, and he doesn't want to talk about it, but I mean, that's just the kind of thing, and that's why. So I say, give me proof that he's sexist. He supported the Miss Universe contest. Well, maybe that makes him sexist. I don't know. He claims that's a way to empower young women and give them an opportunity to get ahead as well. So anyway, we'll see. Anyway, enough of Trump for tonight. I think we need to talk about emails and other Hilaire stuff now. And before we do that, however, unfortunately, it is time for another one of those nasty commercial breaks. But like to pay the rent, so have a listen along, and especially for new listeners, if you need these services, please use the 800 number in the commercial, because they help fund the show.
Patriot come lately. British by birth, American by choice. Just like the Founding Fathers. The voice of the conservative resistance.
Every day, millions of Americans grow more concerned about the future of our great nation. The truth is, over the last century, a small but powerful collectivist movement known as progressivism has debased our politics, our culture, and our currency. We're just a small step from falling into 1,000 years of darkness, as Ronald Reagan warned. Friend, this is Pat Boone with an important free offer on a hot new book called The Great Withdrawal by Craig Smith and Lowell Ponte. This new book explains how we, the people, can end this fatal detour into big government and get back on the path of faith and freedom charted by our founders. Call now for a free copy of the hot new book called The Great Withdrawal.
Call now for your free copy. 800-978-3901. 800-978-3901. 800-978-3901. That's 800-978-3901.
Owe $10,000 or more to the IRS that you can't pay? Call now for immediate help. At the Tax Relief Line, we help people just like you. If you take on the IRS alone, you could be facing levies, liens, even wage garnishments, personal or business tax issues. If you owe $10,000 or more to the IRS, call now and see if you can pay less. They can freeze your bank accounts, even garnish your wages. Call the Tax Relief Line now for immediate help. Our expert team of tax professionals will negotiate your tax problem and deal with the IRS for you. If the IRS is threatening you with levies, wage garnishments, or seizing your assets, call now and see if you can pay the IRS less.
888-789-5043. 888-789-5043. 888-789-5043. 888-789-5043.
This is Patriot Come Lately Talk Radio, keeping the spirit of America alive, a proud member of the Red State Talk Radio Network. And thanks for sticking with me through that break. We're at the into the last half of the show, and as it is the end of the year, there is. I'm not going to wait to the end of the show to play this song because it would kind of be a good one for the end of the show. But I'd like to squeeze it in now, and I might not get enough time at the end. I might run out of time, so I want to get this one out of the way, if you like. But it's a great song. I've played it before. I think I'm not sure. I think Mary, you may have heard it before. I don't know if you're that keen on this particular rendition, but of course it is that great patriotic theme. So let's play this to usher out 2015 and usher in 2016, and I know a lot of listeners won't be listening to this until close to New Year or after the New Year. So let's usher in the New Year with a great patriotic song, in the hope that we're going to have a great year and America will become great, whether it's with Trump, whether it's with Cruz, Rubio, Carson, even Fiorina, or some combination of all of them. Would be great if whoever wins pulls some of the others and puts them in that person's cabinet. But let's listen to this great patriotic tune. Of course, it's the Star Spangled Banner.
Twilight's last gray the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free, and the home of the brave. Because we are the brave. Yes, we are the brave. We'll fight to rename the name of the brave. We are the US of A. For those unaware, that flag is still there. It's our future to save this land of the brave, the US of A. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free, and the home of the
So, folks, a nice way to wave goodbye to 2015, but we're not quite done yet. We've got a few more minutes left in the show, so I'm going to move on to a new topic. Trump is contentious, but this next one, I used the topic email, but really, to me, what emails represent is it's just the tip of the iceberg in terms of the number of issues that show how untrustworthy Hill Liar really is. If we look at the email saga, right, first of all, the server was secure, proven wrong. Then they said, well, there were no classified emails on the server. The FBI has found 1,000 to date. There was no backup, but she said, well, the emails that I send to people at government departments, they're backing them up at that end. But of course, it's very difficult to find the emails that were being requested by the different committees that had asked for them. I did not wipe the server, and that was another one. Well, maybe not physically yourself, but you sure as hell told someone to do it. And not wipe it with a cloth either. So add those lies and all the other ones, white water and her getting thrown off the, was it the Warren Commission or whatever, or some other committee in Congress. But for me, the pinnacle was really the bold-faced lie to the families of the murdered Americans when their bodies were being returned from Benghazi. Now, she lied to them. She looked them in the face and said this was all because of a video. She knew well before those bodies came back it had nothing to do with the video, and yet she continued to lie, probably on behalf of Obama. Why? I don't know what he has over her. Maybe the promise to put all of his weight into getting her elected in 2016. Sure as hell doesn't want any of the Republicans, because they're going to undo everything that he did. She's the only hope to kind of keep some of his legacy. So she lied to them, looked them in the face and lied. And what's worse about that, yes, she lied to the American people, but we know that she's a politician, and when she was talking about the emails and the server, we kind of knew she was lying. And, you know, we can almost accept that, because we know she's just a two-faced politician. But what really sickens me, what really disgusts me, is that she didn't have the decency to take those families aside and say, look, folks, yes, we know it was a terrorist attack, but please don't discuss this with anybody else outside of this thing. If she'd have done that and just been honest with them, don't you think they would have kept their mouths shut? They're not going to go running to the press if she asks them. So, but she couldn't even bear to do that to them. She obviously doesn't trust the people she so dearly wants to lord over. Well, in Dutch, they have a saying, loosely translated basically as the innkeeper trusts his guests as he is himself. So in other words, based on her obvious distrust of the common people, we are justified in not trusting her one iota, because the innkeeper doesn't trust the guests, therefore the innkeeper is untrustworthy himself. And surprisingly enough, though, some poll put her as the most respected woman of this year. How can that be? Then again, that same poll put Khalif Hussein as the most respected man. So there must have been a smidgen of bias in the poll, or perhaps not so much in the poll, but in its results and the way those results were interpreted. And even though the Donald was number 3 in the poll, I still do not trust it. In fact, it perhaps shows how broad his support is, because if he can get that high in a left-wing biased poll, who knows how many Democrats are going to cross across and vote for him. And just to add a little bit more embarrassment to the Hildebeest, in the debate, which hardly anybody saw, she wrongly accuses Trump of being featured in a Daesh recruiting video. And then it turns out, actually, it's her own so-called husband, or Hino, that is placed front and center in those videos. And where's the lying state media following up on that misstep? Crickets. Okay, folks, time for the final commercial of the evening, and I'll be back.
The offer of a franchise can only be made through delivery of a franchise disclosure document. Imagine yourself being a leader in America's fastest growing demographic category. More than 10,000 people a day turn 65, and a large percentage are going to need a helping hand at home or in choosing the right assisted living community. Always Best Care is looking for people who've excelled at everything they've done, but they're seeking a new challenge. Always Best Care is one of the fastest growing companies in this explosive field. We're looking for 25 new franchisees to keep our booming business growing. We'll back you up with the strongest award-winning marketing program in the industry, and we'll provide the special training and support that's fueled our growth to prepare you for this great opportunity. All that's missing is you. Call Always Best Care toll-free at 1-800-643-7508. That's 1-800-643-7508. For Always Best Care, 1-800-643-7508. Call today.
Are you worried about losing your home to foreclosure? If you've been threatened with foreclosure or receive legal papers from your bank, you have approximately 30 days to respond. If you do not respond, you could lose your home. You have rights. Act now to protect your rights. You can stay in your home. Many times you can even modify your loan. The bottom line is you can get past this, but you must act right now. Call National Foreclosure Defense right now at 800-296-3006, 800-296-3006. If you've been served by your bank and you're worried about losing your home to foreclosure, now is the time to fight back and save your home. Time is limited, so call right now. 800-296-3006, 800-296-3006. Call the professionals at National Foreclosure Defense right now. 800-296-3006.
If you're diabetic, this message could change your life. Is your blood sugar out of control even when you do all the right stuff? Are you afraid of diabetic blindness and the risk of amputation, as well as all those other side effects? Well, you should be. Is there anything that could help manage your blood sugar? Nobetes is a natural supplement that may quickly and dramatically lower your blood sugar.
My name is Bob Corder. I've been using Nobetes for about 3.5 to 4 months now, and in the first 3 months, I've actually lowered my blood sugars from 500s down to 139, and then it dropped to 88 to 93.
My name is Kirsten. I'm a type 1 diabetic, and while taking Nobetes, my blood sugar levels dropped from 295 to 115 in just 1 day.
The FDA hasn't evaluated these statements, and Nobetes isn't intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. But for many, it's helped drop their blood sugar. So if you've been evaluated with high blood sugar, don't delay. Evaluate Nobetes now. Call 800-551-8302 and get your free bottle. Just cover shipping and handling. Call 800-551-8302. That's 800-551-8302.
This is Patrick Come Lately Talk Radio, coming to you live via the internet, via rebroadcast on WRSDB, the Red State Talk Radio Network, or from the recordings at archives.patrickcomelately.us. Okay, folks, we're into the final segment of the show, and I have two more topics for the quadfecta that I chose for this retrospective of 2015. So let's quickly get to the first one. Just a reminder, though, if you're not listening to this show live and you would like to contact me, Stefan@patrickcomelately.us is the email address that you can use, or you can go to the website www.patrickcomelately.us and click on the contact button there, fill out the form, and that message will reach me. I love getting your questions, your comments, your feedback. Please send them, and as I always mention, if you do, I will do my best to answer you directly, as well as answering it in the show. So, topic number 3, immigration. Obviously, the one this year, there was a lot of focus on what was coming across the southern border. But it's at such high levels down there, nobody's really thinking about looking at the northern border, which is basically just as porous and just as dangerous because, terrorists could come in that way as well. And then we have the unvetted Syrian refugees and all the excuses that are being given by the left for bringing these people in. And yes, they're all vetted, but look how we had people who were supposedly vetted even better than the Syrian refugees, and look what happened in San Bernardino. So, very disconcerting that they even will still talk about that. And Hillier, now, there is video of her basically suggesting a similar pause in Muslim immigration shortly after 9/11. Strange how when she said that then, everybody was sort of quiet, yet when it gets suggested by one of the candidates now, the whole hypocritical regressive wolf pack are baying for his blood. And of course also every attempt by the states to introduce legislation to at least slow down the flood of illegals across the border, especially those that are on the border, like Arizona, Texas, are greeted in such a ferocious counterattack by the regime, usually through the Department of Injustice. And while we thought that Holder was bad, the unbelievable insensitivity of Loretta Lynch in saying that what she feared most was violent reactions against Muslims. I mean, she's in charge of security for the country. She's the AG, and she's in charge of security, and she's more worried about violent reactions against Muslims than Muslims killing Americans. And that just days after the largest terrorist attack on America since 9/11. I mean, it's just unbelievable. So, and then Topic number 4, Daesh. Mentioned them a couple of times. Daesh, or ISIS as some people know them, but I like to call them Daesh. I'm told Daesh is really the acronym ISIS in Arabic, but I'm also told that Daesh also has other connotations to a word which means more of thugs, which is all they are. So I mentioned them earlier, but the JV team, as it was called, showed what an ineffectual foreign policy King Barry has. Really showed him up. He was not really helped in the first place by the most ineffective Secretary of State ever. Yes, talking about Hillyer again. And after she left, she was followed by someone who will probably tie with her for messing things up. Yes, Mr. John Kerry. Obama promised to start air attacks on Daesh, and, well, that was good news. So finally we're doing something. But then we were surprised. Well, were we really surprised? No, I don't think we were surprised. But we heard that over 75% of the missions flown, they were not allowed to use their ordnance. They were not allowed to use their bombs. They were not allowed to shoot at things because some political appointee back in Washington would not give the yes word if there was any chance at all of a civilian being hurt or maybe environmental issues being created through spilled oil. Hey, who cares about spilling a bit of oil in the desert? These people are killing Americans and Christians and people all around the world. Hit them hard, whatever the consequences. Folks, war is hard. It's unfortunate, but that's what we need to do. And, oh yes, they can't hit the oil trucks. They might spill the oil, and also the drivers are civilians. But if you're working for the terrorists, you're hardly a civilian, right? And what were they doing? They were smuggling this stolen oil out of the Daesh-held territory. So they're not civilians. Hit them hard. And if they are civilians, hit them hard anyway. And maybe these people will all of a sudden find good reasons not to go work for Daesh. Stop the trucks. Stop the flow of oil. Our so-called ally, Turkey, who had secretly been assisting Daesh, would not be too happy about this flow of oil, cheap oil for them arriving, but who cares? You're tainted by who you befriend. Okay, folks, we're getting close to the end of the show. It's time for me, almost time for me to say goodbye. What I will say, though, is I wish everyone a very happy, prosperous, and safe 2016. Emphasis on that latter one, because everything going on in the world, you know, it's a dangerous world out there, folks. I hope it will be safe, but I also hope it's a good 2016. We've got an opportunity with the elections coming up. Hopefully, we will take that opportunity and use it for good. And whichever candidate it is, hopefully we will get a good candidate. So, folks, it's time to say TTFN, Happy New Year, and please join me in 2016 for episode 300. Thank you for listening to the show. I hope that you enjoyed tonight's topics. Whether you listened live, to a recording, or to a rebroadcast, I appreciate the time you share with me. We need to spread the message of liberty far and wide, so please tell your friends and family about the show. Thank you for helping to keep the beacon of hope burning. This is Stefan, your Patrick Come Lately, signing off. God bless America, and remember, L3, long live liberty.